welcome back for another action-packed episode of Recovcast. Today, we got our buddy, all-star celebrity of the town, Sean, on as a guest, and we all went and did something on Friday.
We got high for our buddy's 3-year sobriety birthday.
Yeah. You weren't even scared at all?
No.
Nothing.
No,
because you were trying to get something out of me. you were trying to get something out of me, and I was like, for some reason,
John was like, "I'm not scared. I swear. Look at my hand."
Dude, I wasn't even nervous at all. Like when we were getting up there, I was just like, "Well, I have to jump now."
He was trying to be all cool in front of the instructor, but I could tell.
No, dude, I was like,
well, you wanted to go first because he wanted to get it out of the way. But I was kind of glad.
How
you guys
sketch
went first.
was that plane though, with the duct tape and like,
dude, there was like stitched on the windows.
Skydiving isn't like a dream where you're falling. It's like actually flying. Like, I mean, did you feel pretty good after that jump or?
No, it made me sick.
Yeah.
Super nauseous. The whole, like,
when you came in, no
what
spinning.
part?
No spinning.
Well, I was like good in the plane. It was my second time ever in an airplane. I was good. We were like enjoying the scenery. It was beautiful. And then the second my legs were dangling out and we fell and started going down, like my whole stomach just turned and I got super nauseous. And I was like, dude, I feel like I'm going to die right now. So the parachute opens and the dude's like, all right, mate, we're going to do some 360s. Dude, it's seriously, you know what I'm talking about, right? The guy, that was my instructor. He was cool. He just had a weird accent. And he started doing like 360, and I was like, hey, bro, that's good on that. I'm going to like throw up on you. Like, you need to stop.
Like, I was sitting there when the door opened with my legs hanging out, just looking straight down, like going, holy shit.
I literally was sick for probably a good like 4 hours after that.
Yeah, no, it was fun, but I'm glad you came. So where are you from, Sean?
I'm from Riverside, California, a little town called Woodcrest.
Woop Woop? Is that how it goes? Or, that's like
Riverside, all what you do. Woop Woop. Yep.
So, how long ago was it when you got into like drinking and drugging? Did it start out with like alcohol and weed, or what happened for you? I guess.
When I was in 5th grade, we used to ride dirt bikes all day with me and my buddies, and I remember we went to my best friend, rest in peace. His dad had a bunch of Budweisers inside his refrigerator, and we were like probably 10. It was me, my buddy Brian, and my buddy Cody. So we put like 4 maybe inside the backpack, right? And we took off to the hills, and we had like this big like a 2-liter soda thing. I don't know why we did this, but we poured all the beers in there, so it just foamed up. It was just like, and we started like taking chug after chug, each of us, you know what I mean, until all the 4 beers were done. And 4 beers back then, you know, we were super buzzed, and I was like on my dirt bike buzz, just riding. I was like, this is best ever, you know. It was like a
started
escape. At 10, and then it just kind of progressed from drinking to smoking weed.
What was your like parents like? Were they just chill, or like how were they? They didn't care what you did?
Well, it's not so much they didn't care. They were kind of like my sister was crazy, you know. So they put a lot of focus on her. So
okay, so your parents are divorced?
My parents are divorced.
When did they get divorced?
I was I believe I was 11 years old ish. So right around.
Did that even affect you at all, really, or was that like?
It was like, I guess, the norm for a lot of the families around where I grew up, and it was I don't know if it affected me. My sister went with my dad, and my dad was like way more laid back. My mom was a little nutty. She still is. But like I felt bad for my mom, so I wanted to stay there, but she would always kick me out. So I grew up a lot living next door on my neighbor's couch with the mom. There was like she kind of took in all the bad kids, you know, and there was like in the backyard, we couldn't go back there. That's like where the meth was dealt. And then we all just kind of like slept on the couch or slept. The mom took everybody in. Ever since I was a little kid, I just didn't have like a fear of getting in trouble. Like I was always in trouble. I was always getting suspended. I was always like, I just didn't have that conscience of caring if what I did.
From alcohol and weed, like where did it kick off?
Well, I started doing coke and eating mushrooms and acid, and like, I mean, everybody in my neighborhood did drugs, so it wasn't like, oh, these dudes are doing speed, like, oh my gosh, like it was like normal, like, you know what I mean? People would smoke speed or snort speed. And the first time I did it, I was riding at this party. I was getting paid to ride my dirt bike. I used to be pretty sick on a dirt bike. And I was jumping over cars on fire at this. We had this huge party that we threw, and I remember the flyer. It said beer, bitches, and bikes. And there was like kegs, and this is in 2001. So I had been like 13 at that time, and we went out to my friends. Where the party was at, they lived out in like the hood. They were like some gangster Mexican dudes, and we were building the jumps up in the day and like practicing, and we were smoking weed and chilling. And these dudes pulled out a pipe, and they started lighting. I'm like, what's that? They're like, you want to try? I'm like, yeah. And I tried, and I was like, brap, you know what I mean, nonstop. I was like,
Riverside is actually the like. Isn't it like the meth capital? Yeah, because Breaking Bad was supposed to take place in Riverside. It was actually like written to take place there, but they got a tax cut from Albuquerque to film there instead. But all I hear is just like meth when it comes to Riverside.
I like doing meth. You know what I mean? It was like, it was fun for me, but I was never like just spun out on it like forever. Like I'd do meth with my friends and we'd run amok and we'd be on it for a month straight, and then we wouldn't do it for a few weeks. And it was never like, you know, I got real bad ADHD, so meth kind of mellowed me out a little bit. You know, it wasn't like it made me all crazy like everyone else. So smoking weed made me like hyper, like out there, you know.
Yeah, Adderall is almost exactly the same thing as meth. It's just like one little like chemical or something like change, and they're just handing out to kids like candy.
When I did Adderall, because everyone's like, dude, this shit will whack you out. You'll be so spun out. It made me like so calm and boring, and I was like, this shit sucks. Like, what?
Made you smarter.
What time is it?
I know, I was all like a genius. It's crazy doing chemist tests. And,
so meth was your deal?
Well, like I said, I kind of did everything, but I drank throughout that. You know, we used to drink tall cans of Steel Reserve. I don't know if you guys ever experienced the 211.
It's hard to get down. Those are so hard to get down.
And so we would drink that and Miller High Lifes, and we had a 7-Eleven in the neighborhood right in Woodcrest, and dude, I was buying beer there at like 10. Like, they did not care. There were these Indian people, and they just like knew who you were. And there was this bar too called Little Abner's. It's a different name now, but my whole neighborhood was drinking there when we were little kids. Like, it was just I had a fake ID that looked exactly like me, but I never even used it. I was tatted up when I was like 15, 16, and back in the day it was a lot different. You could, you know, they don't have those sting operations like if kids buy fake beer and the whole store closes down. Like, none of the people in the neighborhood really cared.
When was your first like run-in, like you got in trouble, like? I mean, it probably
police, or
or just like when did you start getting into trouble? Like, where did that kick in?
So me and my friend that passed away, we got his brother's phone list, and it had like, because you remember back in the day, you like had all the numbers written down on like a piece of paper. So we were crank calling all these people, and like,
dude, we used to do that back in the day so much because you had nothing else to do.
Yeah, stuff we did.
And you take the phone out from inside the house and you just start dialing numbers and prank shit.
So we're pranking these people, and we're like, we're gonna kill you. Well, one of the girls, her dad was a cop, right? And we were probably in like 6th grade, and the dad was a cop and had like a tracer that went back and found out like where we lived, right? Because they came to our house. The police were like, what? They like, we heard a knock on the door, and we're like little kids, and like we look out, and they're like, is Mr. Booker here? Like, the parents came down and got us, and they like put us in back of the cop car. I'm like, shit. And I got in big trouble.
Is Mike Hawk here?
I was like, no, don't remember making any phone calls, you know. But so we got in trouble with that. I got in a high-speed pursuit on a motorcycle when I was 16. We had this XR 250 that was my dad's, and I was with my best friend at the time, this dude Adam. He's still my boy, and he had like a half ounce of mids on him. I remember like mid-grade weed, you know, it wasn't like the best, but it was good. And we were driving down the street, and it was a paved road, and we both didn't have helmets on, and like the orange groves were all around us in Woodcrest, and there was hills all around us. We all knew the hills. Well, I'm driving down. We're probably like 3/4 of a mile away from the orange groves. I was gonna go visit my sister because she got kicked out of the house. So I'm driving down, and then all of a sudden there's a motorcycle cop, and he just lights us up. So I pull over like a good citizen, and he puts his bike on the kickstand, and I take off, right? Because I never stopped the bike. So his bike is no comparison to mine. So he's smashing right next to us, like, pull over, while a cop comes out of the side. So now I have a regular cop and that cop, and I'm just dipping, right? Because I know at the end of the street there's a 4-way stop sign, and it jumps down into the orange groves. It used to be a truck jump going back up, right? So I'm just smashing, and I go through the stop, and I hit the brake, and we both jump down. And my friend's ass was, like, to my head, like, and I landed it perfect, right? So I'm taking off. I look back. Well, the cop braked, and he wasn't so lucky. And all I see is him flipping down the hill, right? And I take off, and I think like I'm the shit.
You were probably like, oh shit.
Dude, I was laughing. We were stoned. And I was like, dude, if people just say shit. Blah. So I got home, right? And then I'm chilling. Like we in Woodcrest in my neighborhood, you can go to anybody's house. If the garage is open, you can go in the garage, like, hey, the cops are after me. They closed the garage, and it was cool. Like, everybody knew everybody in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? And everyone looked out for everybody. That's just how it was where we grew up. So I finally, like, this is probably like 2 hours later, the helicopters are out, everything. I'm like, I got away, dude. We're golden, you know what I mean? The helicopters were gone. It's been like an hour. We were at my buddy's house smoking, chilling. So we get back to my house, and what happened was, back in the day, they had those green stickers or red stickers on your bike.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that my dad bought it from had it on the back of the fender. Well, the cop with the car that came zoomed his police camera in on it. So it's kind of like a license plate to say where you are. So all of a sudden I get a knock on my door, and I look, and I'm like, oh fuck, it was the cop, all dusty and just so mad. So they took me in for that. Yeah, I couldn't get my license till I was like 18. It was a kind of like a slap on the wrist. I should have been in a lot more trouble. The cop was super pissed. And then that was like,
he rolled his cop bike, dude. He's like
dust all over him still.
He shows up bleeding and crying, and
no, he was
like, you hurt my feelings, dude.
I escaped the cops a few times when I was younger, when I should have got in big trouble, and I got away. And then when I first turned 18, like right when I turned 18, I got in big trouble. I was fighting 3 life sentences. Right when I turned 18, I caught 3 attempted murders and gang enhancement charge.
Were you in a gang?
No,
nothing like that.
You just had tats, so you're automatically in a gang. For
California, or in Riverside County, they have this law that if 3 or more people or 2 or more people commit a crime, it's automatic, like a gang enhancement. They try to tack you on, which is 10 extra years if it sticks. So like,
what kind of happened? I mean,
with
or
that,
like how you can explain like what happened when you're 18.
With that case, like
with that case, if you don't mind.
No, just say whatever.
Well,
you
I
say
already
about
beat the case, so I could say it all.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell.
Double Jeopardy's still a thing, or not a thing. I mean, I promise you.
So dude, I don't want to see.
Is this shit recorded or? So no, what happened was it was St. Patrick's Day, and we were drinking green beer. Like I said, everybody would drink underage back then, and there was a group of kids that I used to be friends with. They were from it would be like a little clique. You know, you have those, it's not like a gang. They were friends that thought they were cool and stuff. And they always wanted me to be from there, but I just was like, you know, I'm a white kid from Woodcrest. I'm not going to be in a little clique like this. And I used to get drugs for really cheap and sell it to these guys and rip them off, basically. You know, but I was cool with them. Like we were.
It's always over $40.
Yeah, at least. No, I used to make a lot off them. But I was cool with the guys and always hung out with them. We'd go to parties and we'd fight here and there and just be, you know, idiot kids. And one of my best friends is a girl. She was with one of the main dudes from there. And that's kind of how I met them all. And anyways, we were at the bar chilling, and I needed to get a ride home because, like I said, I didn't have my license, I don't think. Or for whatever the reason was, I needed a ride home. I was staying at my buddy Joe's house, and I asked the dude, Ryan, if he can give me a ride home that night. And he's like, yeah, for sure. So I'm not even, like, hanging out with these dudes. I'm chilling with these girls, and I'm talking. And then, like, maybe a couple hours down the way, Ryan's like, hey, homie, you still want that ride? We're going to go right now. And I'm like, yeah, for sure, let's go. So I get in the car. And I guess like some dude said that these guys were talking shit about them, and their clique and all this shit, which I didn't even care at all whatsoever. I just wanted to go home. I was drunk and high, and I was just like, whatever, like, I'll go fight with you guys. I don't care if, like, that's on the ride home. It's on the ride home. It wasn't like I was like, yeah, let's go get these dudes. I was like, whatever. If there's a fight, you guys need help, I'll be there, whatever. So we get to this party place, and then, like, everyone just starts fighting. It's like this big old ordeal. And I guess 3 people got stabbed pretty terribly, and that was that. I got a ride home, and I remember this dude that just got out of prison. He had blood all over him, and everybody was like yelling and screaming at him. And I remember telling him, like, dude, because me and him rode home together. I'm like, your friends are pussies. Like, you stabbed these dudes apparently or whatever, and they're supposed to be your enemies, and your friends are over here crying about it. Like, you need to find some better friends. Like, these dudes are weenies. I remember telling him that, and I didn't even think nothing of it. It was whatever. It was just another fight. Shit happened, whatever. I get dropped off at my house. I go back to, my dad lived in Beaumont at the time, so I was fighting another, like, case. It was like a juvenile thing. I got in this trouble for this juvenile stuff. This was right before I turned 18, and it was still, like, pending, and this dude tried to say all these crazy lies about me, and I ended up outrunning the police that time too and getting away, but there was still, like, they were investigating that. So the guy Ryan, who gave me a ride originally to the whole fight thing, calls me up like, dude, these people are trying to say that I'm stabbing all these people. I'm like, that shit sucks, bro. Don't say anything about me being there, because I'm fighting a juvenile case and I don't want nothing to do with this. Like, the DEA looking at that case and then getting me for this case. So just, like, you know, if you do get caught for it, I'm sorry, but just don't mention my name. Oh, yeah, for sure, bro. No way.
Yeah.
That dude fucking says my name, says Sean was in the car getting a ride home. He didn't fight anyone. He didn't stab anybody. That's what the guy Ryan said. And then they looked at my record, and then all of a sudden I had a warrant out for my arrest. So I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to stay home and have them just take me away. I knew I was going to get in trouble. So it really sucked too, because I was terrible out at being on the run. So I go stay with my buddy Adam, the dude that I had that motorcycle incident with. And my dad lived in Beaumont with one of my best friends at the time, and he sold a lot of weed and pushed a lot of weight out of that house. So my last address was that Beaumont house on my ID. So the cops hit that house like, there's like 30 deep from what I hear. The whole street's locked off. They go there. So what they do is my sister was tweaked out at the time. My dad had custody of my niece who stayed at that house too. They raid my dad's house, I think they found 8 handguns in my buddy's room, like a scale, a vacuum bag, and maybe, I don't know if it was like 12 grand cash. And he had like 50 grand in the car too. He was gonna go pick up. So they found weed residue, and they found like maybe like a half ounces, some bomb, just like personals. So what these cops did is they said, check it, we're gonna take all this stuff and say it's yours to my dad, and we're gonna take your niece and put her into foster care if you don't have your son turn himself in. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Crazy. Mm-hmm. So my parents already knew that I wouldn't let that happen to my niece, because my niece is like my everything, you know. So I was like, man, they called me up. My dad called me up. He's like, dude, shitty situation, bud. Here's the deal. So what they did is the cops took all that stuff, acted like it was nothing ever happened. I turned myself in, and then I went to jail for 3 attempted murders and gang enhancement.
So the dude that you got a ride home with was the one that was stabbing people?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
He got life for it, so.
Oh, shit.
He got
so it was just like association. Like,
somebody died or what?
They got like open heart surgery and stabbed up bad. But like I said, so the way the gang enhancement works is like, say all 3 of us are chilling in the car. I'm like, hey, drop me off at this bank. I gotta go get some money out. And I rob the bank, and I don't even tell you guys. And I jump in the car and we take off. We're all guilty by association until the crime's done. So it doesn't matter. Just from being there. And so they were trying to prove that I was their gang member, and regardless if I knew that they put it like this, like I knew what was going to happen because I was part of their gang. I didn't stop it. I was just as guilty as them for trying to stab these people, is what they said.
And then you have a couple tats on you and you get busted.
Like you fit the profile.
Dude, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then, like I said, the juvenile record, and then the DA, and then they had a bunch of, like, character witnesses from, you know, people whose girlfriends that I may have made out with, or, like...
Held hands with.
Maybe
or,
like,
cuddled or something.
People I robbed, or just... you know, stupid shit going up there. And then that one guy and his mom saying, you know, this guy chased me with a chain, yelling gang names at me. It's like, like I'm in the Outsiders and shit. Like, I had a chain. I'm like, who does
it's like your weapon of choice. Like, every dude has a different weapon.
A chain? Like, what? Like a gold chain? Or like, you know what I mean? It was so crazy hearing these people. And he's like, and then he, like, went out of my car and went like, this and was like, I'm gonna get you, and I'm like, dude, you watch so much movies, it doesn't even make sense. And they're like, you know, I fear for my life if he ever hits the streets again, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're such a weenie. Like, it was just crazy, the people that were going out there testifying. And so
so you went to jail for this?
Yeah, and
for
my
a while?
bail was $1.5 million. So
how long were you in for?
In jail, I almost did 3 years fighting my case. So the way jail works with all your co-defendants, you got to wait till all of them are ready to go to trial. So it just took forever and ever, and they were kept trying to like give deals out. Like the DAs would come and be like, "Oh, we'll give you 10 years and 2 strikes, but you got to rat on everybody." And
10 years.
Like, 10 years and 2 strikes, and you got to tell on everybody. Yeah. It's like, cool. Well, the dude ratted on everybody, and he was like pointing everybody out. This guy knew pretty well too, so I was pretty shitty. And my best friend, still to this day, she testified on the case and helped me out a lot. And they, my lawyer came down after her testimony and said, "Look, the DA says she's losing the case terribly for you. You know, it's not looking too bad for you for the other one. So she's willing to cut a deal right now. She'll give you 6 years and 2 strikes if you sign this deal." Now, I was fighting three attempted murders is triple life, you know what I mean? And there was everybody getting life in there. There's people that were just there when somebody got shot, life. Little kids, you know what I mean? I was in jail for 3 years, seen so many people get washed up. So I was, at that point, I was just like, fuck, 6 years? Shoot it.
You already did half that anyway,
yeah,
right?
So I took the deal, I signed the deal, right? Now, after the trial, you can talk to the witness or the jury and see, like, the DA and the public defender can go there and they can talk to the jury and see, like, hey, what way were you swaying? Like, how good of a job we were doing, basically. And all of them said they would have convicted me. They would have given me life. I don't remember.
How was it like when you were in prison?
So
was it
fun.
like did you make like a bunch of friends?
Dude, I had the best of friends.
Yeah,
like,
lifelong friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, I remember I would like shower and drop the soap and like kick it across the whole room and just grab it on my hands and knees and run and try to get it. It was crazy. It was definitely not like the movies made it. You know, you think of like people just getting raped left and right. And I don't know if I'm ugly and like or what.
You're insecure that you didn't get raped.
Like, dude,
we're in the right prison.
Wait a minute. Prison. Prison helped me not take life for granted as much as I did. Like, I love stuff cold. I like ice drinks, and there's no ice in prison. You know, just little weird things. There's no like pillow. You don't get like a pillow. You know, just like it sucked. And then like having to follow a certain rules. It was hard because, you know, there's different routes you can take in prison. You could stay general population, or you can go to protective custody. And like protective custody is where the people that snitch, or the rapists, or child molesters, or cops, or dropout gang members, and or you could stay like in general population. But if you stay in general population, you got to be active. So it's just
by active you mean like gang affiliated or like
well, it's kind of like you run with your race, you know what I mean? And I'm from Riverside, so I'm from the Inland Empire, so yeah, you basically run with your people, and
Yeah, I remember being in jail and I'd play like spades with the Mexican and black dudes, and the white guys that were like, there was like 6 of them in the jail I was in. It was like a deportation tank for like sending immigrants back to Mexico or wherever, But they were like, don't let them catch you like doing that. Like if you go get in trouble and you got to go to prison, like, and if someone talks about how you're doing that, then you'll get like. PC,
for sure get stabbed if you were doing that kind
of stuff. It's so crazy how like that's still a thing, like with the race thing in prison, like how it's just all about like you got to stick with your race.
Well, at the same time too, it's just like it keeps things in order for the most part. It's kind of like it is that the separation and whatnot is way crazier than you think, but at the same time everyone kind of kept each other accountable. Where I was at, there's different yards, you know what I mean. I was on level 3 and level 4 super max always, so it was more like more respectful than you think. It was just they had certain rules. So
was there still drugs on inside? Were you doing anything inside?
So
or were you just kind of
when I stopped, this is how I stopped doing hard drugs. I'll tell you the story. I was in jail at the time, and I was fighting those attempted murders. So I was in a pod with everyone fighting murder, or everyone was fighting life. It was like the worst of the worst in jail. I was like 18, little kid, and I always grew up with those kind of people, so it wasn't like scary to me. It was like it is what it is, But everybody in there is like super, it's about politics and being super high power, and like. There was this dude, his name was Weto. He was a Mexican Mafia dude. And like 1/3 of any drug that came into jail got shot to him. And he was like big dog, like controlled every Mexican in there that were the Southsiders. And everybody would be so like high power with us, like, hey sir, and like, like seriously. Well, he was my neighbor, and I was like, what up, homie? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, come here, king. For me, I'm just full throttle with anybody. I'm the same way. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I was like talking to him about, bitches and riding dirt bikes, and he was like, you white guys are crazy, So he liked me because I wasn't all on his jock, you know what I mean? Me and him were like tight. He was like 42 years old, like straight could have your whole family murdered in a blink of an eye, and me and him were like best friends. And he loved hearing my stories. So like anytime drugs came in, he was my neighbor, so he would shoot me and my cellie like some weed, or if they had heroin. Like I was the white porter, he was the Mexican porter, and there was a black porter in the day room. Like I wasn't in the porter cell. It's just like when you're in the high power cell like that, there's always those 3. And instead of 23.5 hour lockdown every day, we get out for like 45 extra minutes to clean the day rooms, And that privilege of being out for, just that extra 40 minutes.
Oh, it's everything.
It's everything, yeah. Because like I said, I did almost 3 years with 23.5 hour lockdown. Sucked. And it'd make you go crazy. So what happened is we would make our cellmates go clean. And I would go into his cell and we'd kick it. Because in there you can go in a Mexican cell. You can't go in a black person's cell unless it's like you guys were talking about politics or about things going down or drug deals or whatnot. But the Mexicans and whites in there were cool, you know what I mean? We were homies. So I would go in his cell and we would talk shit. Well, he got heroin, I remember, and there wasn't no needles in there. They would take the black tar and they put it on a spoon and get it wet. They were called wet lines, and you'd huck it back your nose, right? So me and him were doing that, and at the time I was in a 3-man cell, and there wasn't another cellmate in there. There was just my cellie that was out cleaning, and we were high as a kite, and so I didn't even realize I got another cellmate. Like, he just walked in randomly. So I ended up, they're like, all right, lock it. They'll flash the lights. That means to go lock it down. So my cellmate would go, and I would just go into my cell. And there was a new dude in my cell. Like, I'm high as a kite. And I'm looking down at him. He's an old man. He's like 67, 70 years old. And he's kicking heroin, like throwing up and like shitting on himself. And I'm just like, yuck. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, God was like, dude, this is going to be you if you ever get out. Like, you can't even stop doing drugs in here. You're 19 years old. You're fighting 3 life sentences, and you're just doing drugs still. You're being an idiot, And it hit me, like I said, like a ton of bricks. And I'm like, I got to stop, like this.
Wow.
So you kind of kicked it after that a little bit?
Well, it wasn't like you really kicking there. when you first get in, yeah, you know what I mean? You got that initial kick, but there wasn't enough drugs all the time to be where you're so high that you kick. You know what I mean? It was like there'd be weed shot here and there, some heroin, you get high for the night.
How do they even get it into jail?
Up their ass.
Yeah.
That's why it was so good.
Yeah, that's why it was so good.
That's why with the politics, it's just like, hey, you're not allowed to eat after a black guy, but you could sniff something that was up his ass. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. That didn't make much sense to me. But so yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna do drugs anymore. I'm gonna stop. And I was like, I'm gonna read the Bible. Like, I had a Bible in there, and everybody like was like, oh, you should go to church, you should do this. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just read it and see like what I get out of it. You know what I mean? I don't want people telling me this, that, and being in there, you have a lot of time to read. You know, you got 23 hours in your cell a day is a lot of time to do what you want to do with books. And I just read and chose to read, and I didn't do any drugs after that day, except for like 8 months after that. I got in a lot of trouble in that jail, and they moved me over to this other jail, and I was with this Mexican dude that was my buddy, and we would always mess around. He was 19 years old. He was fighting life too, and he came up to my door. He's like, hey, he said, Shadow just hit. He just got a quarter ounce of some Scante, and I was like, shoot that shit, essay, because I thought he was just kidding, you know. And that fool shot like .4 underneath my door, which is a lot of dope in there. You know what I mean? That's like a lot.
Yeah, you'd be up for like a week and a half.
I ate the whole thing. I didn't even think twice. I was high as a kite for like 4 days straight, just high. It was.
It must be a nightmare to do meth in jail, though. Like,
terrible.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Just
what
wait
can
for
you
your
take apart?
Wait for your celly to go to bed and jack off all night. That's basically
that's how it goes.
That's basically. And I was done doing drugs after that.
What happened when you got out?
So I got out, and I was like on the straight and narrow. I was on high control, gang watch, parole. I had to check in all the time. She would come to my pad. They would like raid my house and like put me in handcuffs and go through all my shit. It was like being in jail. My ex-wife, I ended up going, I remember, to the bar. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking, I wasn't doing anything at the time. But I went up there to meet another girl, and I ran into some dude that I robbed for cocaine the last time I seen him. So it had been probably 6-7 years since I seen this kid. But if I was that kid, I would have been like, nah, you know. But he knew who I was in the neighborhood, and I wasn't trying to start nothing. And I see him, and he's like, oh, Sean, it's so good to see you. But they all call me Bessert, my last name. Oh, Bessert, you're out. That's so good. And I'm just like, yeesh. Like, hey, how's it going, you know? And then he's like, oh, I'm just chilling. And I was like, hey, who'd you come here with? Just making sure he wasn't like with people that would try to jump me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm here with all these girls. And he was like naming off girls. And he's like, and I'm here with this chick Megan, like, I really like her, dude. She's so rad. And I was like, really? I was like, Megan what? He told me her last name, and I was like, no way. Like, I've known that chick since kindergarten. Like, I haven't seen her for, 15 years. So I go out there, and I'm like, what up, girl? And she's like, and I'm like, it's Besser. And she, like, jumped on me and was so, like, excited to see me. And then I kept being like, so how long have you guys been boyfriend and girlfriend? And she's like, that's not my boyfriend, not even a little bit. And he went inside to get a drink. I'm like, what's your number, So I ended up getting her number, and I got her pregnant like a month and a half, 2 months after I got out. And I wanted to do the right thing. So I married her, and she was like 8 months pregnant. And I was good. I wasn't, still not drinking, still not, doing nothing. And the old man I lived with, at the time, we lived in like a back house when I had my daughter. He grew weed, and he was like super old, like 78 years old. I didn't even know he grew weed. He had like 4 acres on his property, and I didn't really mess with it. When my friends came by and they seen that he had weed, and they're like, dude, he has weed. And I was like, what? So I go over there and look at it, and it was just stress plants. So I told them, like, hey, I grew weed growing up. Like, I can grow you really good weed if you want. So we ended up growing at my house there. I had like 18 plants in the backyard, like trees. I ended up doing a whole indoor grow at his house. We had his whole house blown out, like tapping power. And he's like, man, my electricity is real low. He didn't know. Yeah, it was crazy. But so I was around all this weed, and I remember my ex-wife rolled a joint and she couldn't get it to light, so I tried to get it to light for her, and I got a hit, and I was like, oh man, I missed this. And I started smoking again, but I still wasn't drinking, so I would just puff with her, and I still didn't drink. I had my son maybe like a year later. My son and daughter are like 20 months apart.
Is this the ex that you were with? The one you got married
I was married. We were probably together about 6 years. And I ended up getting a vasectomy after my son because I was like, I got a boy, I got a girl. I don't want any more kids. And little things are expensive. I had the best of both worlds. I didn't, want any more kids. So I was like, I'm going to get a vasectomy. When I got a vasectomy, they're like, you may be in a little pain after it and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, like 45 minutes after it, I was like, dude, I'm in the worst pain ever. My balls, were as big as a fucking watermelon. I'm dead serious. Like, huge, right? And I'm like, hey, something's wrong here. And she looked at my balls and she's like, dude, we got to go to the hospital now. So I go to the hospital. And it's crazy because it's this girl we went to elementary school with, too. And I'm like, dude, my fucking balls are going to explode right now. Like, I need help. So they get me right in. I had to go to emergency surgery, and they cut a blood vessel in my ball sack when they were doing it. It's like a 1 in a million chance of it happening when you do it right. So they put me into surgery, and this was gross, but I had to have like tubes in my balls draining the blood out after surgery. I had to wear like a man pond. Like, it was nuts, right? Well, they gave me a bunch of fucking oxys to help with the pain because it was like excruciating pain. So I was taking the oxys and they weren't even doing nothing at all. And my brilliant ex-wife at the time was like, hey, I heard when you drink with those kind of pills, it
makes it work better.
It helps better. Yeah. Right? And I'm like, you're so right. It really does, So I like Fireballs, like the candy. I've always liked them. But when I was locked up, they came out with that Fireball. So I never tried it. So I was like, I'll just get a little flask, fifth of that would be cool. Try that out. So I pounded the whole bottle and it was like nothing. Like, I felt fine. I wasn't even like buzzed. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then every day after that, I started drinking again. 6 years straight. Never stopped.
But you didn't really get into trouble after that?
Or
did you kind of just stay out of trouble? You just drank?
Yeah, I did. I mean, so...
And were you on probation at all after you got out of prison? Or was it
I was on the parole for about 17 months. So once I discharged that, so I didn't smoke weed at all or nothing until I was completely off that. So... yeah, I did good. I was out. I had a job. We were growing weed on the side, and I would make money off that. I had a full-time sales job in California. Like, I was doing pretty good, and then things went sour with one of my business partners, and I ended up getting a bunch of money, and I felt like I was going back down the wrong hole, Yeah. I was driving with weed. I shouldn't have been. Regardless if I had my card or whatever, you're not supposed to drive with that much weed. You're not supposed to grow that much. You're not supposed, you know what I mean? I was at houses that had, 15, 16 lights blown out, blowing shatter and all that stuff. And it's just like, you're probably should not be at this part of my life. I got 2 strikes out in California. So I ended up getting a bunch of money to get lit out of a deal. They didn't want to give me that much money, but they ended up giving me that much money because I started to be mean again, and I didn't like how I was. So I got that money, which I did deserve the money, but how I went about it was out of character for me at that time, because I was different than I was, So I ended up, my ex-wife's dad lived out here in Prescott, and my dad lived in Prescott, like 2 miles from each other, and we would come out here, and it was like a cool town. It was a better place to raise a family, and we looked up schools out here, and we're like, everything's so cheap out here. So we came out to Prescott with a lot of money, and it was like, let's start a life out here.
So that's how you got out here.
Yeah.
From Riverside,
Yeah, so I didn't come to treatment like everybody else. I came out here because my parents lived out here. So
yeah, I'm always worried about that too. Like, whenever things are going good now, and then you get sober and you're starting to feel better, and relationships are mended, you get that past legal shit behind you, because I had some legal stuff too when I got here, a couple of warrants, and then that's all gone. I'm just worried that something like that'll happen to where I start going back down that road, you know, to where, you know, you have to get a surgery. You don't know what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, like, do I take the pain medication? My balls are like the size of, you know.
And that's the thing. It's like, I didn't even think twice. I'm like, I'm in pain. I need these. You know what I mean? I didn't even think of from an addict's perspective. I didn't, you know, because it's been so long since I was an addict. It probably been 7 years since I did heroin, or no, probably even longer. You know, from that whole stay and being out of prison, and then having my second kid. It could have been 8 years since I even touched a hard drug like that.
So were you drinking when you first came out here?
Yeah, I've been drinking. I drank. So I had like a 6-year run. I stopped 2.5 years ago.
Okay. How'd you get into like meet Earl and all these guys? Like, where did that happen?
So I would go to the Heights Church, and like I just looked different than a lot of the people that went there, you know, and people would like be scared like I was gonna steal their purse when I seen them, you know.
Were you still drinking when you went there?
Yeah. So yeah, I was. I used to go with my ex-wife, and I took my family every week. But yeah, I was still drinking super heavily. I never got really involved in it, nothing. But I ended up getting locked up again out here. And when I got out, that time I went to church solo by myself. And Pastor John, I was talking to him, and he had a message about, you know, our church is like a family. And, you know, you should always feel comfortable here. And I was like, check it, John. I was like, your church is like a family to people that look like you with your tight-ass pants and your, you know what I mean, sweater vest over. I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm sure they feel real family-like here. I was like, but ain't nobody coming talking. I've been going to this church for 4 years. No one's even talked to me. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, well, there's a guy out here, his name's Pastor Bob, and he actually runs a group. He didn't want to say, like, he runs a group of a bunch of fuck-up, degenerate, tatted up, parolee,
and that's where we met
losers.
You. Yeah. So.
He's like, there's a lot of guys that kind of have, like, similar stories as you. You should, like, give it a chance. So I went to the Bible study, and I met, like, Jason and Donut and Earl, and, like, what happened was, this is kind of a gross story, but like the icebreaker there, you know, they do like an icebreaker. They're like,
I hate those, but I'm getting better at it.
So they're like, where's the weirdest place you ever had sex? People were like, all these weak stories, you know what I mean? And I was like, porter potty. And I guess that got Earl's attention, because Earl came up to me afterwards like, really? A porter potty? You know? And then we just both liked fishing, because me and Earl are like so different of looking people, but we just became super close, and his family's like my family now. And
that's happened to us since we've been here too. Just we felt like outsiders. I mean, speaking for myself, I know I did. Like, I just showed up. I mean, I was coming off Xanax, so my brain wasn't really clicking. It's still getting there, but going there and just opening up and meeting these people, and like they'll bring you right in. You start to feel like, you know, you're a part of something, you know, that you've never had before.
Yeah, I didn't like Bible study. Like, I went the first week, and then I was like screw this. But then I went the second week, and it was like a little bit better. But after I gave it like 3 or 4 times, it was awesome. And then I thought Paul, like, I was like, who's this guy? Like, he feels sorry for me. He's taking me out and shit like that. I was like, and that's how I thought at first. But then I actually got to know him, dude. And that guy's like, he's like a dad to me now. Like, that guy's
it's weird
awesome.
when people are like caring to you. You're like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, what's the motive?
Yeah. Like, what are you trying to get? And that's how I felt too with the people there. I'm like, why are these people so nice? Like, what do you mean you want to take me for coffee and pay for it and take me out to lunch? I'm like, you know, I was standoffish because, you know, people I knew in life were different than that. And
yeah, we grew up around people like exactly the opposite, so we're just anticipating that these people are going to be
some
the same
sort
way.
of come up, or like, what do you? What's your
motive,
real
you know?
motive? That's what it was. But like, looking back, it's like how Jesus wants you to be, do unto others you want done to yourself. Like, that's how I felt Earl was to me. He always like looked out for me and always made sure that I was okay. And it was
he's got such a twist on things. Like, I thought like some other people were good people, but when you meet Earl, it's like, what the hell, dude? This guy, like, he'll do anything. Like,
when you see him at Elements,
like,
right, and how much like sick fancy pleasure he gets off of seeing those people get humiliated in those games, I was like, oh, he likes this, he likes seeing people like, in jeopardy. But no, it's all just fun, and he is totally somebody that, he's my sponsor. He's helping me through all this.
He's my life sponsor.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like recovery is so boring in places and meetings that I've been to in the past, and they just make me want to use. And it's just like when I found Elements, and I'm like, dude, there's bands that play, there's games, people are like, there's not, you have to say I've been clean or I've been sober, or you have to recite 50 things in order to even be looked at right, or I've been to a lot of meetings like that, and it's just like, recovery should be fun. You know what I mean? We go out, the recovery people that I hang out with, like you say, jumping out of airplanes, going fishing, going to concerts, we do fun shit. You know what I mean? I enjoy recovery with these people that I've met through Elements. It's literally fun. The Bible studies we have, they're fun. You know what I mean? You meet good people there, and it's not who knows most about God and who's holier than holy. It's hey, we're a bunch of broken dudes. We need each other. Let's help each other out. Some of your stories could help me out. I can help you out. It's just a brotherhood that I haven't found in any recovery place, in any Bible study, in any church, and that's why I keep going.
What do you struggle with still today? Is there stuff that you struggle with still?
I feel like with drinking, it's always in the back of my mind. You know what I mean? I was a functioning alcoholic. I drank every day.
20 years.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing hard drugs. I maintained a full-time job. I didn't fight with my wife when I was drunk. I wasn't a dick to my kids when I was drunk. I would work all day. I didn't drink during the day, and then when I got home, I'd have 2-3 IPAs and 6 to 8 shots of gin, and I'd go to bed. You know what I mean? And then I would wake up not hungover. I wasn't hurting anybody, I felt. But literally I was killing myself. I was shitting out blood. I was really, I wasn't okay. I was bloated. I was, I needed alcohol to sleep. I didn't even know if I couldn't sleep without it because I never not had it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was always there. It's not looked down upon when you drink. It's not.
So does your mind
socially accepted?
Does your mind still trick you to this day, that you think oh, maybe I could have a beer, because we always do that shit when we're out. Sometimes you're just fuck, I wish I could just have a drink.
And that's the thing. I know I can't just have a drink. Like I said, the first time I drank after 7 years or whatever, I went every single day after that, and I know how addictive it is, and I also know how many people I'd be letting down. You know what I mean? I've been helping run the Elements with them and working at that for about 2 years now. And there's kids that always come up to me and talk to me, and they're like, man, and they'll tell me their story, and they're like, I think I could just drink a beer when I get done. It's not my drug of choice, and I'm there to tell them no, you can't. That isn't how it works. You know what I mean? Because once you drink a beer and you're a little buzzed, you remember that buzzed feeling, and you're more apt to if someone has a line or someone has a pill or something, you don't even think about it, and then you get right back in that addiction. So I feel like maybe I could have a drink and be totally fine, but for all the people that I'd be letting down, you know what I mean? It's just not worth it.
It's just not worth it, yeah.
And I'm sober and I have fun. You know what I mean? And the people that I hang out with, some of them still drink, some of them still do drugs, and I could be around them and not do it. And I save a bunch of money by being sober. You don't really realize how much. I'd spend $100 at the bar it was nothing. Buy some shots for some people have shots, and then the next day you're looking at your statements geez, what did I do? Or just the amount of liquor I drank at my house, or bottle after bottle, and it's just going out to a restaurant and having extra drinks. It's just
that's
always,
a whole nother.
It's a whole nother bill.
I can actually go on trips with my girlfriend a couple times a year for what I was spending every year in alcohol.
At least a couple times.
Go
a year.
do fun actual memorable shit rather than actually just wasting it every night and trying to get some sort of joy out of it.
Shit, I've never even been to Vegas sober yet. I want to go back there now, sober, to actually see a show or something that I haven't done over there.
So I've done Vegas, I think 2 times sober. I went to the pool
Did you have
parties.
more fun sober than you did?
I had
drinking?
a blast at the pool party, just watching all these drunk people. I mean, I like drunk people watching. It's funny to me.
Yeah.
And I went and I went and saw Daniel Tosh, sober. Still funny. I still laugh. I went to the punk rock concerts. I seen Social D and Pennywise and Rancid, and it's still fun. I could still get in the mosh pit. I could still enjoy myself, and I actually remember, back in the day, I used to go to thousands of concerts or put on shows or whatever, and I didn't remember what happened the next day. It was just. I like remembering shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw somebody in Mexico. Whoever plays down there all the time, down in Rocky Point.
Like a mariachi band?
No, yeah. it's like a cool. It's
traveling to Mexico
mariachi
just to listen to some mariachi.
Was it Pitbull?
Some Peace in the All Stars or some.
Peace in the All Stars. We'll call them.
I don't know. It was like
Long Beach Dub All Stars.
No, it wasn't that one. Okay. But anyway, they play down there. But I remember they had a concert down there, and I heard the first 2 songs, and I passed out the rest of the concert. But that happened to a lot of concerts. I don't even remember what happened. I made it through one song, and I had to leave, and I was wasted.
And
that was everything. Super Bowl. I didn't even know what happened in the Super Bowl, even before midnight on New Year's. Every single year, dude, passed out. Didn't even make it to New Year's.
Yeah,
it was that's how I drank every single time.
Yeah, it's awesome to be on the other side of it now, where you can sit back and see how it actually was. I mean, because I'm sure we were all drunk assholes for the longest time. We were at the skydiving place in Phoenix, and there was a girl, the wife of that guy with the kid that was running around. Mm-hmm. She was out, and she was like, "So, what are you celebrating?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's his birthday." I said that about her, and she's like, "Oh, you guys don't have shots and drink and listen to all these places to go." And then I think Ben was there. I was like, no, we're actually with a recovery group here, and we're all sober, and it's his birthday, but he's only 3 years for, sobriety date. And then she goes, oh, damn. And then, that shift happened. She was like, that's great for you guys. I'm actually struggling with it myself. And, everyone around here drinks. Everyone, is that's all they're about here, and I don't want to be a part of it anymore. We have the best time ever, not drinking and hanging out and doing stuff. I mean, let's just say that there's hope. If you do decide to stop, I'm go for it. But there's a lot more people that are struggling.
Anybody would have done that wasted, fucking jump out of a plane, but we just did it sober, and we weren't even real nervous, all the shit we've been through,
And that's
why?
The thing is with people that are really trying, it took a while for me to be able to go to a bar and not be wasted, being around all that. It's just finding a different group of people. The Bible says bad company corrupts good character, so it's you try to do good and stay sober. When you're in that environment, it's hard, and it's I didn't have any accountable. It's not like my ex-wife was like, dude, you need to stop drinking. It's just it was what it was. And then I like I said, ended up getting locked up again, and that's where I realized, yeah, I have a big problem. I started drinking a lot more when me and my ex split up, and it was the anxiety from being away from my kids, and not knowing if they were safe, because I had them my whole life with me every night, and I knew I could protect them if something went wrong, but not having them, it spun me for a loop, and I was just bad.
Who helped you out with that, Earl?
No, I didn't even know Earl at the time. I was just a drunk mess, serious drunk. Like I said, having those 8 shots and 2 beers, that was when I had life under control. After that, I was drinking all day long. I was smoking my wax pen all day long, and I was just taking bong toke all day long, just running amok for a whole month. And I was on meth without being on meth. I couldn't really sleep. I wasn't eating good, and I was just drinking all day long, and I was working all faded all day, and I was skateboarding all drunk and just causing ruckus. And just my buddies threw a concert, and I took the mic from the kid that was singing, and I was looking for the owner, and I was just wasted in front of hundreds of kids, and just being a terrible example. And I remember, this is a true story, by the way. It's I got in trouble at Subway. I ended up taking some chips and a water bottle from Subway, and I was all stoned, and I was trying to have them call the cops on the Verizon people because my phone broke that I just bought. It was a $1,000 phone, and the dude shut the door on me. So I was super pissed, and they wouldn't let me use their phone. And So I grabbed a water bottle while I was talking to the lady, and I didn't even like think about it because I always skateboard with a water bottle and my shit. And I was like, well, are you going to call the cops on me? Because I'm going to steal this water bottle then if you don't call the cops. And I ended up going outside and skateboarding and like waiting for them to call the cops so I could tell them about these people that owe me a phone. That's how crazy I was. And the cops never showed up, so I just took off in my car, you know what I mean, with the water bottle. I didn't even think about it. Well, they did call the cops, and like this kid stole a water bottle out of Subway, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even think about it. Well, I was skateboarding, and I went to the skate park, and you know I'm pretty noticeable. They know what I look like. So the cops went there. They rolled up on me deep at the skate park, and there's a bunch of kids there, and these cops were all around me, surrounding me. They're like, "You stole from Subway, and you're getting a citation." And I had real bad anxiety. I was like, "Can I like at least skate while you guys are writing this up? Because like you guys are giving me anxiety." They're like, "No, stay where you are." So I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna throw up right now. Like I don't feel good. I'm kicking alcohol right now. Like I need to back off. You know what I mean? I really need to like I'm gonna throw up." So they backed off, and I dropped in on my skateboard and took off. I was skating through the park, dude. And these cops were like, "Get on the ground!" And they were like chasing me, and I'm like going through bulls and shit on my skateboard. And then they got me. And
for a water bottle at Subway.
So check it. Yeah, water bottle, right? Well, this is the first day I quit drinking. I quit drinking because how I said I stole the mic from the kid. Well, that night my boy Sideways was down from Phoenix. He was a dude I was in prison with, and we ran amok through Prescott Valley, like crazy shit, bad shit. And I was like, people were calling me like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, Besser? Like, dude, you need to calm down." Friends, people I knew, like everybody's like, "You need to just calm." So like, I'm gonna quit drinking. Like I'm being an idiot. That's when I went to jail. Was when I quit drinking. Was that day. This is the night now. I'm at the skate park. The cops arrested me now for disorderly because I took off on them for resisting. So now I'm in jail, and I haven't been in a jail cell in like 9 years probably. You know, it's been that long since I've been in prison. And I was in a tank with no bathroom. Like there was no pisser and there was no place to get water. And I had cotton mouth. I was stoned. I was still smoking wax, but I wasn't drinking. But I was sweating because it was like I haven't had a drink yet. It was like 9 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So it was like my first night not drinking in 6 years. And I'm like banging on the thing like, "Hey, can you guys let me out? Like, why am I even here still?" You know what I mean? Like, I have a disorderly. They're like, "Oh, it's taking forever because this cop's a rookie." And I've known cops my whole lifetime. I know this cop wasn't a rookie. So I was like, "No, he's not." And they're like, "Yeah, he is." And they walked away. I was like, "Dude." So I slipped my chains off. Like I was shackled up, and I slipped it off, and I started banging on the door. Bam, bam, like so loud. I was like, "All right, rookie, I'm going to make you earn your stripes today. We're going to fight one-on-one. You want to be a tough guy? This is the job you want. I'm going to show you what's up, homie." And so I was banging on the door, and finally like 8 cops show up, and they put the guy they said was a rookie in front. They popped my door. Now, this time I'm all the way in the back of the cell, squared up with my shackles off. I'm like, "What up, homie? You ready for this?" And the dude's just looking like dead in my face, and I flinched at him like that. He didn't even flinch at all. I was like, "Dude, I told you he's not a rookie." Because I knew if he was a rookie, that boy would have jumped 10 feet. I put my shackles back on and sat down. The cops go in there, and they beat me up, and they handcuffed me to the thing so I can't do anything, right? So I'm not thinking anything of it whatsoever. I'm still thinking like, "Fuck, are you guys going to let me go?" They're like, "We're taking you to Camp Verde. You're getting processed." I'm like, "For skateboarding?" They're like, "No, you aggravated assault on a police officer." I was like, "Dude, I may be kicking right now. I didn't know damn well I didn't hit anybody, for God's sakes." They're like, "Yeah." Dude, I did 6 months in jail for that one flinch.
So when you got out, that like you were just no drugs, no alcohol.
No, and I was like, "Dude, I need to get my kids back." That was my main focus, is working on getting my kids back. So that's what I did. I didn't have to do task until I went to court to see my kids. So like that whole time when I got out, I could have drank, I could have smoked, I could have done whatever, and I chose not to. And then I fought for my kids. And I ended up getting to see them, but I had to go to task. I had to be drug tested, and I had to be alcohol tested. And I did that for a while, and I was on probation too, and she could randomly test me, but it was like me and her were so tight because she was way cool and she knew like I was sober and I helped with elements. She knew all that about me, so I could have drank and done that, but I discharged after like a year and a half of probation. I stopped doing tests, so now it's been about 8 months that I don't have to be drug tested. I don't get alcohol tested, that I've been sober without that, which is like, no, when you know that you can't do it, it's, you know, it's less like, I don't know, I consider it like not, it's still you're sober, you know what I mean? But now I'm like, I'm choosing to be sober. It's not like by law I have to be sober, you know? So it's...
you still struggle with it a little bit here and there, or is it just...
Like I said, it's I love how I am sober, you know what I mean? I love that I'm able to help kids out that are struggling, and like to let them down and let my own kids down and let my family down and my friends down to get drunk when I enjoy life sober. It's be kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's like the one thing we've been talking about on here is just that you get to a point where it's just not worth it. Like where, you know, the first, I'd say 90 days, people, you know, still think, oh man, you know, it'd be so fun to get high, and then you start to accumulate good shit in your life to where, you know, after a few months you're just like, well, I don't want to lose that, it took this long to get there, and then it just outweighs, you know, you getting high.
And just because shit doesn't go your way, dude, like, just say what happened, dude. You freaking, like, you know, you lose your job, you fucking get back up, you find another job, dude. That's how it works. You don't just sit there and just use an excuse.
Be an adult about it, you know. And that's what people do.
Not go out and drink just to fucking. Problems are just still gonna come back.
It doesn't solve your problems. Like I'm dealing with my best friend since kindergarten died, and it sucks. You know what I mean? And it's just like a lot of times when people are depressed or sad about something, that's the first thing that they want to run to is the bottle, or they want to get high to escape that. But in all reality, for me, it just makes things worse. Like, you're still going to wake up with that problem. And sometimes when I'd be real down and out, like, every once in a while, I would call Earl, like, God, I feel like drinking right now. And he'll, like, stop whatever he's doing, take me out to lunch, and then just make me realize how big of a dumbass I would be if I was to drink. And I do that with people now, too. You know, so it's like to screw that up for other people, or like, you know, like if people look up to me on elements and they're like, well, this guy fell off the wagon again, why not? You know what I mean? That would kill me inside, you know. And all these people we're seeing ODing, we're seeing dying. I mean, because being on elements, everybody Facebook requests me. I become friends with them, and I'm seeing RIPs on their wall all the time. From sometimes people I know, sometimes it's their friends, like another one down, fentanyl, another, you know what I mean, OD, or a drunk driving accident, and it's just like, I don't want that. I don't want to die, and you know what I mean, leave my kids behind. I don't want to, you know. Kids, if you are struggling with addiction and you think that you can go out and just have a couple of drinks because it's not your drug of choice, I'm telling you right now, you're 100% wrong. Like, don't. And if you ever need, a friend to tell you how stupid you are, you can always get in contact with me on Facebook. Any of us in the recovery program, Elements, everybody there, that's the coolest thing about it is, like, you can call up any of those people and they'll be right there to talk to you and help you through whatever you're going. Like, use that. It's helped me whenever I feel like doing something stupid. So, yeah, hit me up.
Cool. Well, thanks anyways, Sean, for coming on the show. Thanks for the stories, man. And it's great to see how, you know, bad things can get and someone come from the bottom like that and come out of it and just be out helping people. All I ever see you doing is helping people and just, like, you know, being a good face in the community, like a positive influence, regardless if, you know, you have a chain that you're waving around and going like this to people when we're not around.
That's the old me.
Yeah.
That's the old me.
But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning into RecovHub. You know, feel free to email us if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. Rest in peace, Kobe.